Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're embarking on, well, an intellectual shortcut, you could say. We're exploring some really pressing social issues of our time, but through the lens of one exceptional American journalist and author.
That's right. His career is just, it's a testament to unearthing hidden truths and crafting narratives so compelling they genuinely reshape how we understand things.
Indeed, we're delving into the extensive work of Sam Quinones. He's a reporter and author based out in Los Angeles.
And his writing isn't just straight reportage, is it? It's more like this masterful act of connection. He links these disparate elements of American and Mexican society. Gives us a clearer, much more nuanced picture of some really complex challenges.
He's become such a pivotal voice on everything from, the intricacies of Mexican migration to the devastating impact of the opioid crisis.
Absolutely central.
So our mission today is really to unpack his remarkable journey from local newsrooms all the way to becoming this indispensable chronicler of modern America. You'll gain, I think, a really thorough understanding of his investigative approach, the surprising, sometimes pretty uncomfortable facts he's uncovered, and the profound implications of his reporting. What makes his work truly resonate, for me anyway, is its ability to translate these huge societal shifts into deeply personal human stories. You actually see the faces behind the statistics.
And that's key. We'll examine how his unique background shaped his perspective, dive deep into the groundbreaking insights from his acclaimed books, Dreamland, The Least of Us.
Yeah.
And we'll also broaden our view, look at his reporting on community resilience, urban challenges, the vibrant, often misunderstood aspects of Mexican culture, too.
Right. And his career path itself is interesting, starting way back in '87, local newsrooms.
Right.
And eventually becoming a full-time freelance journalist by 2014. That move seems crucial.
Oh, absolutely. It positioned him perfectly to pursue these long-form, really impactful projects with, well, unmatched dedication.
The journalist's roots and early explorations.
Okay, so to truly understand the reporter behind these, frankly, monumental works, we have to trace his journey back to his formative years. Where did Sam Quinones' unique perspective first start to take root? He grew up in Claremont, California, graduated Claremont High in '77, and later he went to UC Berkeley, earned not one but two Bachelor of Arts degrees, economics and American history. That's quite a combination, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And I think it's a really critical clue to understanding his later work, that mix, economics and American history. It isn't just interesting, it's profoundly synergistic. This dual academic foundation suggests an early deep interest in both the structural forces that shape societies, push and pull of markets, supply, demand, incentives.
This is big picture stuff.
Exactly, the big picture stuff. And the specific historical narratives that underpin them. He's not just looking at a moment in time, but asking, okay, how did we get here, and what are the underlying systems actually doing?
Right, the why.
The why. It lets him see not just what is happening, but why it's happening. Tracing these intricate causal chains, understanding the long-term impact on people's lives, and this interdisciplinary approach, it's absolutely crucial for understanding his later deep dives into issues like the opioid crisis, which has these massive economic ramifications. Think pharmaceutical marketing, illicit drug economies, and deep historical dimensions too. Shifts in American society, public health thinking, even cultural anxieties.
It avoids those simplistic explanations you sometimes see.
Precisely. It's a hallmark of his ability to connect seemingly disparate events into a cohesive, understandable story.
And you can really see that intellectual foundation starting to play out in his early journalism career, too, which was incredibly diverse before he, settled into his more renowned long-form work. He started in '87, Orange County Register, getting a feel for local issues, community dynamics.
Ground level?
Yeah, ground level. Then 4 years as a crime reporter for the Stockton Record. Right in the thick of it. Understanding the grittier realities, policing, the human impact of crime.
Real-world consequences.
Then '92, moves to Seattle, political reporter for the Tacoma News Tribune. Think about that path. Local news, then crime, then the mechanics of political power.
It's like he was gathering puzzle pieces from completely different boxes, wasn't he?
Exactly. Slowly building up this holistic picture of how society functions, or, well, sometimes malfunctions.
Each role gave him a distinct perspective, equipped him with this comprehensive understanding of American life from multiple angles, prepared him for the complex stories he'd tell later. He wasn't just watching, he was actively learning how these forces interact. And that diverse background really set the stage for, I think, maybe the most transformative period of his career. His move to Mexico in 1994. He worked there as a freelance reporter for a whole decade, until 2004.
A decade. That's significant immersion.
It really is. Connect this to the bigger picture. This wasn't just some assignment. It was a decade of profound immersion. It gave him this intimate understanding of Mexican society, its vibrant culture, complex economy, political landscape, a perspective that would become absolutely central to his later groundbreaking work. Migration, the drug trade.
You can't fake that kind of understanding.
No, you really can't. He didn't just parachute in for interviews. He built deep source relationships, learned the nuances, the regional dialects, social customs, got that on-the-ground understanding few journalists ever achieve.
Yeah.
He lived it. He breathed the culture, understood its intricacies, its challenges, its triumphs.
It provided this incredible foundation, didn't it? Allowed him to tell stories with authenticity, depth, empathy, things you might not get from afar.
Right. He saw Mexico not as some caricature, but as a living, breathing nation with its own rich internal dynamics, crucial for understanding the transnational issues later.
And it's so clear that decade fundamentally reshaped his lens. When he came back to the States, joined the LA Times in 2004, It's no surprise he immediately started covering immigration gang-related stories. His time south of the border just directly informed his beat back home, gave him that unique perspective.
It connected perfectly.
But then, 2013, he makes this pivotal decision, takes a leave of absence from the Times, specifically to work on Dreamland.
Right, a big step.
And just a year later, 2014, an even bigger leap, leaves the LA Times entirely, pursues freelance writing full-time.
Yeah.
Since then, his work's been everywhere. National Geographic, Pacific Standard, New York Times, LA Mag.
And that move to full-time freelance, it was more than just a career change. It was strategic. It profoundly enabled his most impactful work. It gave him the freedom, right, to pursue these long-form, immersive projects, the daily grind, the deadlines of staff jobs. Well, they often don't permit that.
You need time for that kind of depth.
Exactly. Think about it. A newsroom reporter is constantly driven by the 24-hour cycle, the weekly print deadline. Freelance work, especially for major book projects, gives you that essential time. Extensive travel, hundreds of interviews, meticulously weaving complex narratives.
The kind of multi-year investigations that define his books.
That independence gave him the latitude to truly deep dive. Explore the depth and breadth without those institutional constraints. It let him craft the comprehensive, human-centered narratives that define his contribution.
It shows a real dedication to profound understanding, not just, scratching the surface for daily headlines.
Precisely.
Dreamland, unveiling the opioid epidemic's roots.
And here's where that independent focus really paid off. 2015, Sam Quinones publishes Dreamland, the true tale of America's opiate epidemic. This book just launched him onto the national stage. For so many of us, myself included, it was the first time we genuinely understood the intricate, often deeply uncomfortable origins of this crisis that continues to just devastate communities. The book meticulously explores the widespread abuse of prescription painkillers, specifically names OxyContin.
Right, the big one.
And simultaneously chronicles the insidious rise of Mexican black tar heroin, particularly its distribution by traffickers from this one town, Xalisco, Nayarit.
What's truly illuminating there is how Quinones connects the dots between two phenomena that seem distinct but ultimately converge to create this massive crisis. He shows how the overprescription and, frankly, aggressive marketing of pharmaceutical opioids like OxyContin created this enormous population vulnerable to addiction.
It wasn't just individual choices then.
No, it was systemic pressures. These were legitimate, FDA-approved drugs being aggressively pushed by pharma companies, direct-to-consumer ads, sales reps targeting doctors, often really downplaying the addiction risk.
Right, I remember those ads.
And this widespread availability, combined with a cultural shift, pill for every ill mentality, and this initial belief they were safe for chronic pain.
Yeah.
It created this vast pool of people who, when their prescriptions ran out or got too expensive, were left with a powerful physical dependency.
Which raises that huge question. How did legitimate medicine, driven maybe by profit, maybe by misunderstanding long-term consequences, how did it unwittingly pave the way for a devastating illicit drug market?
Quinones basically shows how the land of dreams where pain could supposedly be managed risk-free morphed into Dreamland. A nightmare for so many.
As individuals sought relief and just got ensnared.
But his work didn't stop with Big Pharma, did it? He then dives into the incredible ingenuity, or maybe terrifying efficiency of these heroin traffickers from Xalisco, Nayarit.
Yeah, that's the other crucial piece. He reveals how they essentially revolutionized the drug trade, moved away from traditional, often violent gang models with their turf wars
Right.
to this highly decentralized direct-to-consumer system. So users didn't have to go into dangerous neighborhoods anymore.
Exactly. They set up what you could almost call an early mobile delivery service. Burner phones, unmarked cars, these intricate networks of low-level dealers who prioritized customer service, rapid delivery, even volume discounts.
Like pizza delivery, but for heroin. He actually uses that analogy.
He does. And this innovative business model, designed for maximum market penetration and convenience, it made black tar heroin incredibly accessible, even in small towns, rural areas where it had never been common before.
So it bypassed the traditional supply chains.
Totally. Tragically fueling the crisis further, reaching communities previously untouched, effectively creating brand new markets for their product.
The significance of Dreamland, then, it really lies in its ability to humanize the epidemic, right? And provide this clear, accessible, yet deeply complex narrative of its origins.
Absolutely. Before Dreamland, public understanding was so fragmented, often blaming individuals or isolated crime or specific groups. Quinones offered this coherent, multi-threaded story, showed how global supply chains, farmer practices, societal shifts in pain management, and these innovative illicit market strategies, how they all converged.
A perfect storm.
A perfect storm, creating a public health disaster on an unprecedented scale. And it fundamentally shifted the conversation around addiction, moved it from just a criminal justice issue
To a public health crisis.
to a recognized public health crisis demanding a multi-pronged response. It influenced everyone. Public health officials, law enforcement, policymakers, prompted this critical reevaluation of strategies.
It really is a foundational text, isn't it, for anyone trying to grasp the historical roots of the opioid crisis. Shows this profound, often unintended consequences when powerful drugs meet vulnerable people and adaptable illicit markets.
Couldn't agree more.
So, the core insight you should take away from Dreamland, what is it? I think the truly transformative understanding from Quinones' work is that this wasn't just a crisis of individual addiction. It was a catastrophic, systemic failure.
Systemic is the key word.
It exposed how a medical system, maybe unwittingly co-opted by aggressive pharma marketing, created this huge demand for painkillers, a demand that street-level innovators then tragically and efficiently fulfilled. It forced America to confront this uncomfortable truth. Some of our worst crises start in places we least suspect: corporate boardrooms, doctors' offices, ending up on our streets. And that perspective is just critical for understanding the ongoing fight, revealing roots far more complex and interconnected than many realized.
The least of us. The synthetic surge in community hope.
As profound as Dreamland was, the drug crisis, well, it didn't stand still, did it? It kept mutating, intensifying.
Unfortunately, no, it evolved.
6 years later, 2021, Sam Quinones released its powerful follow-up, The Least of Us. True tales of America and hope in the time of fentanyl and meth. And this deep dive chronicles an even more alarming evolution, a new, terrifying phase of the crisis.
Yeah, this book explores the terrifying and incredibly rapid rise of synthetic drugs, specifically fentanyl, and a new, profoundly potent form of methamphetamine. It details this critical, dangerous shift in Mexico, from plant-based narcotics, heroin from poppies, cocaine from coca leaves.
Things that grow.
Right, things that grow to drugs manufactured entirely from chemicals in clandestine labs.
And that change is huge, isn't it?
Monumental. Because synthetics are far cheaper, quicker to produce, they don't depend on farming cycles, specific climates, large tracts of land. Makes production and distribution much harder to detect, control, or stop at the source.
I remember that piece in The Atlantic from the book. The title was something like, I don't know that I would even call it meth anymore.
Exactly. That phrase alone just powerfully conveys the terrifying transformation of a drug we thought we understood. The large-scale production of this new, highly neurotoxic meth in Mexico fundamentally changed its impact. It's not just the drug causing addiction anymore. It's a profound disruptor of brain chemistry.
Leading to severe mental health issues.
Severe mental health issues, aggressive behaviors, and, consequently, this dramatic decline in societal stability. This new meth, unlike the older stuff, seems to just wreak havoc on the brain almost immediately. Pushes users into prolonged psychosis, paranoia, severe cognitive deterioration at an alarming rate. Makes recovery immensely harder.
And the consequences are just dire, rippling through the fabric of American society. Quinones directly links this new wave of synthetics, especially this altered meth, to the skyrocketing rates of homelessness and mental illness across the U.S. He shows how these substances aren't just causing addiction, they're fundamentally altering people's capacity to function.
Making stable housing, jobs, even basic social connections incredibly difficult.
Exactly, which directly contributes to the visible crises we see in our cities and towns. The tent encampments, the public health emergencies, the overwhelmed social services.
The personal devastation is immense, and its societal reflection is in those growing numbers experiencing chronic homelessness, severe drug-induced mental health challenges. It's transforming urban landscapes, overwhelming support systems.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, this shift is a new, far more dangerous frontier in the drug crisis. It challenges all the existing paradigms.
It really does. Synthetics are cheaper, incredibly potent, bypass agricultural cycles, makes them far harder to control through traditional methods, which raises that critical question.
Yeah.
How do communities, how do public health systems adapt to a crisis evolving so rapidly? Creating these new, complex challenges for rehab, public safety, mental health infrastructure.
Traditional approaches are struggling.
They really are. Approaches often designed for opioids or older meth addictions. They're struggling with the sheer intensity, the unique neurological impacts, the sheer volume of people affected by these new synthetics. It's not just an addiction crisis anymore. It's a profound social breakdown driven by these new brain-altering substances. It demands innovative, often uncomfortable, truly multi-sectoral solutions from every part of society. Healthcare, housing, law enforcement, community outreach, all of it.
What stands out to me, though, even in this incredibly bleak landscape, Quinones isn't solely a chronicler of devastation. The Least of Us is also imbued with stories of hope.
That's right. There's hope woven through it.
Highlighting these incredible efforts of Americans engaged in, well, Herculean endeavors to rebuild their communities. In the face of addiction, social breakdown.
It's not just documenting the problem.
No. It's equally about identifying and celebrating those actively fighting to heal and rebuild, often with remarkable ingenuity, compassion, tireless dedication, usually at the grassroots level.
And this offers you, the listener, a vital glimpse into that incredible resilience, those innovative solutions emerging from the darkest corners of this crisis.
Stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, reminding us that even in the bleakest times, the human spirit of recovery, mutual support, community rebuilding, it persists, it shines through, provides models, inspiration.
Beyond the crisis, Quinones' broader lens on society.
While his work on the drug crisis is obviously monumental, widely recognized, Sam Quinones' curiosity extends far beyond it. He's truly a keen observer of culture, economics, the intricate tapestry of life on both sides of the U.S.-Mexico border.
He has a wide lens.
So let's explore some of his other fascinating deep dives, starting with his earlier explorations into Mexican society.
Tales from Mexico and Migration.
His 2001 book, True Tales from Another Mexico, The Lynch Mob, The Popsicle Kings, Chileno, and the Bronx. It's his compelling collection of nonfiction stories, portraying life on the margins of Mexican society, a country undergoing profound transition. What kinds of stories did he find that really captivated him during that decade living there?
Well, what's truly remarkable here is how Quinones captures the vibrancy, the sheer resilience, and sometimes the harsh, often overlooked realities of Mexican life. Outside those mainstream narratives, he wasn't just reporting on Mexico, he was immersing himself in these niche, often forgotten communities, bringing to light these powerful human stories of people living on the fringes.
Like what, specifically?
Well, for instance, there's this fascinating look into a colony of drag queens in a small town preparing for Mexico's oldest gay beauty contest. Reveals this vibrant, unexpected subculture thriving amidst traditional society.
Wow. Okay.
Then there's the poignant, inspiring tale of a Michoacan village, where the entire community makes a thriving living, producing and distributing popsicles paletas. Illustrates ingenious economic survival, entrepreneurial spirit that often drives migration.
The Popsicle Kings.
The Popsicle Kings. He also delves into the gritty, legendary neighborhood of Tepito in Mexico City, a bastion of resilience, illicit trade, communal solidarity. And he shares the legend of Jesus Malverde, the so-called narco-saint of Sinaloa, a complex figure reflecting this blend of local belief, folk Catholicism, and the ingrained culture of the drug trade.
Fascinating.
He even covers a shocking lynching in a small town in Hidalgo, exposing the darker, more brutal side of traditional communal justice.
So not shying away from the tough stuff either.
Not at all. Yeah. Perhaps one of the most compelling narratives is the only known biography of Chileno Sanchez, an immigrant narco-corrido singer who, despite being gunned down after a concert, rose from humble beginnings to become this musical icon. One of the most influential artists out of L.A. in his generation. His raw, authentic music just resonated deeply with Mexican immigrants' experiences.
These aren't just stories. They sound like windows into a Mexico far more complex, multifaceted, and deeply human than the typical headline suggests.
Exactly.
And he continued exploring these rich narratives with his 2007 book, Antonio's Gun and Delfino's Dream. True Tales of Mexican Migration. Another powerful collection focusing on Mexican immigrants, their lives on both sides of the border, based on his reporting in Mexico. Again, what are some standout stories from this one that really illuminate the human experience of migration?
Well, this book continues his tradition of revealing the unexpected. Imagine the story of the Henry Ford of velvet painting in El Paso, Juarez. A truly unique cultural phenomenon speaking to cross-border entrepreneurship, artistic expression.
Velvet painting.
Seriously. Or the emergence of a vibrant opera scene in Tijuana, showcasing unexpected artistic flourishing in a place often stereotyped as just commerce or conflict.
That's surprising.
Isn't it? He also spent a season with a high school soccer team in Garden City, Kansas, illustrating the integration, the challenges faced by immigrant youth in America's heartland, finding their identity in a new landscape.
But what really underscores his dedication, the risks involved, is that dramatic account of how drug-trafficking Mennonites in Chihuahua actually forced Quinones to leave Mexico because he was reporting on their illicit activities.
He had to leave the country.
Yes. This wasn't passive observation. It was a firsthand experience of the dangers inherent in exposing uncomfortable truths within powerful, insulated communities. And interwoven throughout this book is the compelling personal story of Delfino Juarez, a young construction worker seeking opportunity, first in Mexico City, then L.A., embodying that quintessential migrant dream and struggle, a story that resonates with countless others. That story about the Mennonites forcing him out, it speaks volumes about the immersive, often perilous nature of his work. So the profound insight you can glean from these deep dives into Mexican culture and migration, it's that his earlier books show you the rich, multifaceted, deeply personal human stories behind migration. Not just stats, but individuals driven by hope, economic necessity, entrepreneurial spirit, and sometimes acute danger. It challenges us to look beyond simplistic narratives, understand the ingenuity and resilience of people navigating immense life changes.
And that deep immersion also allowed him to report on specific policy and social issues with unique insight. Showed how deeply he understood the complexities. For instance, November 2012, he wrote about attempts to reform the Mexican indigenous governance system known as usos y costumbres, uses and customs.
The traditional laws.
Right. Traditional, often unwritten, communal laws, self-governance structures in many indigenous communities, often predating formal national systems. Quinones explored critics' arguments that while these traditions preserve unique culture, foster local autonomy, they can also create challenges.
That's so.
Specifically, they can marginalize migrants returning home after years away.
Wow.
They might not fit into the established traditional social order anymore. Fosters tensions between them and those who stayed and upheld traditional ways.
Interesting tension.
Then, January 2017, his LA Times op-ed, "The Truth Is, Immigrants Have Let Us Live Like Princes," argued powerfully for the significant, often underappreciated contribution of immigrant labor to the Southern California economy, highlighted how immigrant workers fill essential, often low-wage jobs underpinning everything: agriculture, construction, hospitality, caregiving, enabling a higher quality of life, lower costs for many residents.
So it raises that question, how do deeply rooted cultural traditions, even well-intentioned ones, create unforeseen challenges for modern communities, especially with migration?
Exactly. And conversely, how do we often overlook the fundamental economic contributions of immigrant populations that are integral to sustaining our societies, maintaining our lifestyles? Quinones doesn't shy away from these nuanced, challenging conversations. He brings complexity, multiple, often conflicting perspectives to the fore.
Urban decay, community resilience, and policy insights.
Beyond these cultural and migration deep dives, Quinones has also focused his lens on urban decay, community resilience, and some challenging policy insights closer to home in the U.S. His October 2022 LA Magazine article, Skid Row Nation, for example, explored how the proliferation of that new, highly potent meth, combined with the dramatic growth of tent encampments and specific court rulings, how all that contributed to the explosive growth of homelessness and mental illness in Los Angeles.
Connecting the dots again.
Exactly. Shows his ability to connect these seemingly disparate issues. The drug trade, evolving legal decisions about public camping impacting law enforcement's ability to intervene, and the visible, heartbreaking crisis of homelessness. He's not just reporting on the visible problem, but trying to understand that full, intricate web of causes. Their cascading effects on a major city. Painting a pretty grim picture of how these forces interact to create a humanitarian crisis on our streets.
A stark reality.
And he's not afraid to challenge conventional wisdom when it comes to solutions either. June 2023, he published a particularly thought-provoking piece in The Atlantic. Title was, America's Approach to Addiction Has Gone Off the Rails.
Oh, I remember that one.
In it, he argued that law enforcement, and specifically a reimagined approach to incarceration, not just for punishment, but as a structured environment for recovery, are necessary components of a truly compassionate response to the overdose crisis.
That is a really thought-provoking perspective. It challenges common assumptions, often forces us to confront uncomfortable truths. Quinones is essentially saying, an effective, truly compassionate response requires a genuinely multifaceted approach, one that integrates elements often seen as opposing forces like public health and law enforcement.
Not either.
Not either. He argues that simply providing treatment in a chaotic environment without addressing pervasive public drug use and the dangerous influence of illicit markets, it can be ineffective, even unsustainable. His argument isn't for punitive measures in isolation, but for a system where incarceration, for instance, could serve as a period of enforced stability, a pathway to intensive, structured treatment that might be impossible on the streets.
So it encourages critical thinking about what compassionate really means in this context.
Exactly. In the context of a public health crisis that also has significant public safety and social order dimensions. It prompts us to consider how various societal tools, when appropriately applied and integrated, can work together to genuinely help those suffering. Rather than letting philosophical divides hinder effective solutions, it's a call to move beyond that, either thinking to a more holistic, arguably more realistic approach.
And it's inspiring to see him not just identify the problems in such detail, but also shine a light on solutions, however small-scale or unexpected they seem. His February 2024 article for The Free Press highlighted how towns like Hazard in eastern Kentucky, how they're turning to small-scale local enterprises to recover from the staggering damage of the opioid crisis and the decline of coal.
Finding new paths forward.
Yeah, he reported on initiatives like local woodworking shops, artisanal food producers, community-led retraining programs, prioritizing local ownership, sustainable growth.
Not grand federal programs.
No, these are grassroots efforts, born of necessity, deep community engagement. These stories illustrate genuine, practical efforts at rebuilding, emphasizing local ownership, community-driven initiatives as pathways to recovery, demonstrating that hope and progress can emerge even from the depths of devastation, often through the creativity and resilience of ordinary citizens.
The storyteller's reach, engagement, and accolades.
Sam Quinones isn't just a meticulous writer, is he? He's really a public intellectual, actively engaging with audiences across the country, profoundly influencing policy.
He gets out there.
He does. He possesses this unique ability to make complex issues accessible, deeply personal, which is key for you, our learner, seeking to understand these challenges. Following the release of Dreamland in April 2015, Quinones embarked on this astounding speaking tour, delivered 265 talks over the next 4.5 years.
Wow, 265 talks. That's incredible.
Isn't it? Think about that level of commitment, direct engagement. He spoke in incredibly diverse venues, small towns grappling with the epidemic directly, major universities, over 50 across the U.S., crucial professional conferences, judges, narcotics officers, doctors, public health officials, social workers, addiction counselors.
Everyone on the front lines.
Everyone. This level of direct interaction is so rare for an author. Speaks to the urgency, the relevance of his message. Furthermore, January 2018, he testified before the U.S. Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, directly bringing his insights, his on-the-ground reporting right into the legislative process, showcasing the real-world impact of his journalism.
That's significant reach.
And going back to 2012, even before Dreamland launched him to national prominence, he gave a compelling lecture at the University of Arizona titled So Far from Mexico City, So Close to God, Stories of Mexican Immigrants and of Mexico's Escape from History. Shows his broad scope, his commitment to understanding these intertwined cultures.
What's truly compelling there is the sheer breadth and depth of his audience engagement. He's not just writing for fellow journalists or academics. He's directly addressing the people on the front lines of these crises. The doctors, public health officials managing the impact, law enforcement dealing with safety, community members living through it. And crucially, the policymakers with the power to enact systemic change.
Right.
This level of direct engagement ensures his meticulously researched insights aren't just heard, but actively considered, debated, hopefully applied in real-world settings. His Senate testimony in particular demonstrates that policy-shaping power of his investigative journalism. It's a clear sign his research, his compelling narratives are recognized as vital contributions, moving beyond just observation to direct, impactful influence.
And that direct feedback loop probably enriched his own understanding too, right, informing his later work.
Undoubtedly a two-way street.
Beyond traditional speaking, he also embraces digital platforms, connects with new writers, expands his storytelling reach, which is quite forward-thinking, generous for a seasoned journalist.
Building community.
In 2011, he launched Tell Your True Tale on his website, an initiative aimed specifically at encouraging new writers from all walks of life to share their personal stories. Hope, struggle, transformation. To date, that platform has published over 50 stories, providing a voice to many who might not otherwise have one, creating this powerful testament to the human spirit.
That's wonderful.
And in February 2012, he started True Tales, a reporter's blog, offers his ongoing insights, reflections, focuses on a wide array of topics: LA, Mexico, migration, culture, drugs, neighborhoods, the border, and, naturally, the art of storytelling itself.
Stepping back, these initiatives show his commitment not just to telling stories, but to fostering storytelling in others, expanding the very definition of narrative. He understands that real, comprehensive understanding comes from a multitude of voices, lived experiences, not solely from professional journalists.
Democratizing storytelling in a way.
Exactly. By providing accessible platforms like Tell Your True Tale and his blog, he continually enriches the public discourse around these often marginalized topics, empowers individuals to share their own realities, struggles, triumphs, helps build empathy, challenge stereotypes, cultivate a more nuanced, comprehensive understanding, moving beyond a single narrative to a rich tapestry of human experiences. It keeps the conversation vibrant, inclusive, deeply human-centered.
And of course, his deeply impactful work hasn't gone unnoticed by his peers and critics. He's received significant awards, honors throughout his career.
Well-deserved.
Awarded an Alicia Patterson Fellowship back in '98 for stories on impunity in Mexican villages, and early recognition of his investigative prowess, his willingness to tackle tough subjects. 2008 received the prestigious Maria Moores Cabot Prize from Columbia University for career excellence covering Latin America. Testament to that decade spent meticulously freelancing, immersing himself in Mexico.
Major recognition.
Dreamland not only got widespread acclaim, but won the coveted 2015 National Book Critics Circle Award for Nonfiction, a major literary accolade. Speaks volumes about its impact, critical reception.
Huge award.
And his powerful follow-up, The Least of Us, nominated for the 2021 National Book Critics Circle for Best Nonfiction, underscoring its continued relevance, literary merit.
These accolades aren't just shiny trophies, are they? They signify the profound impact, critical acclaim, enduring importance his work has garnered, validating his deep dives, encouraging further exploration into these vital subjects. They speak to the quality, integrity, profound resonance of his journalism. Outro.
So what's the lasting takeaway from our deep dive into Sam Quinones' remarkable body of work? We've uncovered a journalist uniquely dedicated to unearthing the complex, often uncomfortable truths that shape our world. From dissecting the intricate origins of the opioid epidemic to exploring the nuanced realities of Mexican migration and highlighting the inspiring resilience of American communities. He consistently provides a comprehensive, multifaceted, and always human-centered perspective.
He shows us that behind every statistic, every headline, there are countless individual stories. Struggle, adaptation, profound hope compels us to look closer.
His unparalleled ability to synthesize diverse information, spot patterns across seemingly unrelated fields, connect the dots between global forces and local realities. It makes him an indispensable guide, understanding today's most complex challenges.
He encourages us to critically question assumptions, consider multiple viewpoints, even those that challenge our preconceptions. Understand that solutions often require a holistic, empathetic approach, integrating everything from public health and reimagined law enforcement to grassroots community efforts.
He doesn't just present facts, does he?
No. He masterfully crafts narratives that help us comprehend why these issues matter to us all, making the abstract consequences of policy and economy tangibly personal, deeply resonant.
For you, the learner, his work is such a powerful reminder that becoming truly well-informed means looking beyond the superficial headlines, embracing the full, intricate tapestry of human experience, even when it's challenging or uncomfortable.
It's about understanding the deep interconnected systems shaping our societies and the enduring strength of the human spirit within them.
Given the constantly evolving nature of the challenges Quinones chronicles, from the relentless mutation of synthetic drugs to shifting socioeconomic landscapes, migration patterns, this raises an important question for you to consider.
As global forces continue to reshape local realities, present new, unexpected threats, what new connections might future deep dives uncover? And how might our understanding of America and hope continue to be redefined in the coming years? Through the resilience and ingenuity of communities facing unprecedented change.
The stories of our society are never truly finished, are they? Always adapting, always revealing new facets of the human condition.